My name is Donald James Lewis, United States Navy, and my unit was called Construction Battalion Maintenance Unit 302, stationed out of Cam Ranh Bay, Vietnam.
Okay.
My name's Gary Coletti. I joined the Army in 1963, went to school for Army Security Agency training. I went to Vietnam in 1964 in August and returned in September 1965.
Yeah, my name is Wayne McVeigh. I was with the 25th Infantry Division, 65th Engineers, Alpha Company. I was there in 1968. I got there just about 3 days before the Tet Offensive started.
So when I got there, instead of doing just my job, I was put on an armed personnel carrier as a defense mechanism, as a 50 caliber gunner. And the only action incident we had was I was ambushed, or we were ambushed while we were training on our 50 calibers, and learned real fast how to use them, and that was my first experience with taking somebody's life that I didn't know anything about.
My first experience in Vietnam, well, in the Navy, for the first year and a half I was in the Navy, I actually went through a Class A builder school in Port Hueneme, and then I spent a year in Alaska before I got sent to Vietnam. And then I had some leave between Alaska and Vietnam. Then as a unit, we had a brand new unit out of Port Hueneme, the Seabees, Construction Battalion Maintenance Unit, out of Port Hueneme that went to Vietnam in April and May of 1967. And of course you fly over as a group, the Construction Battalion Maintenance Units and the Mobile Construction Battalions. No longer do they travel on ships. It's all airborne. You fly everywhere. You don't go on ships anymore. And so they flew the whole unit over there. And the first thing I noticed when we landed in Cam Ranh Bay was just how huge of an effort this was in Vietnam. I mean, it was like a metropolis, a tent city metropolis of just huge proportions.
Well, I was 18 years old. Figured I was going to be John Wayne. You know.
Yeah.
I soon learned that John Wayne didn't know Vietnamese, so.
I think everybody has their opinion about the war. I mean, how many, the Pentagon Papers and so forth and so on. I mean, they never gave the military a chance to win the war. They didn't want to win the war. They took away all of your effective ways of winning the war, and it was never an all-out, just enough, but not ever enough to get the job done, but enough to keep it rolling and escalating and so forth and so on. Our strategy over there was piss poor. I don't think we had a win strategy. We just had a maintain strategy, I guess you'd call it.
One of the disappointing things that gave me, besides the one time that we had, we were ambushed, was the fact that our intelligence was excellent in the beginning, but we weren't allowed to fire, or we weren't allowed to. Our troops were not allowed to fire until they were fired upon. So, and they weren't even really allowed to take any action, like get ready for a defensive mode. So we would contact command when we notified, or when we noticed that they had one of our patrols was in harm's way, or a base was in harm's way for being hit, and command didn't do anything about it. So probably the biggest part of my PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder, is the fact that the war was waged and we didn't fight it the way we should have. Not at all. I wanted to get out of the country, not because what I was doing was not helpful, and I knew that our guys were going to be, or our KIA and and that we're gonna build up as long as the war lasted, so I was really, and today I bear the burden of not being able to do anything about what I knew and what was happening, and it's not the fact that I killed in defense of my life, but that so many were killed because our government did not take this war as they should have taken it.
A decisive hand, and Johnson out of the White House, and maybe Nixon out of the White House too. A decisive hand, somebody who wasn't afraid to spit in those guys' eyes and just go in there, like a Schwarzkopf or somebody like that, who hate you, give them the power and so forth. He'd go in there and kick their ass, and we could have won that war easily. But they tied their hands. In my opinion, they tied their hands, the military's hands, and only allowed them limited success.
What
We had them beat.
best,
We had them beat. They've said it. The generals have said it. You had us beat.
That's right.
In Tet, we had them whipped so bad they didn't know what to do. And what happens?
We went to
The peace accord.
The political end of
The
it.
peace accord started. They had time to rebuild and supply, and they got resupplied by the same people we were talking to at the peace accord. They were giving them arms and weapons, saying, get it going for another week, we'll get you some more coffee and beans and whatever. And next thing you know, boom, it erupts again. Why? That's because we were basically being used as cannon fodder. It's like the kids today in Afghanistan,
the
Iraq.
country was coming apart back home at the same time with the college students and everybody, protesting and so forth. There was a crazy time all along. And then Jane Fonda and her whole group going to Vietnam and so forth, all of that crap. That undermined the whole thing. Undermined it all. Just made it look like we're losing this war when we weren't losing the war. He's absolutely right. Tet Offensive, we kicked their ass. I don't know how many people to be accounted for at that in that one battle over the entire country, but it was like 1 million people. And the way the battles came down is we were so surprised by their ability, the NVA and the Viet Cong and so forth, to coordinate this whole thing throughout the entire country. That's what gave us such a black eye. Not that we didn't kick the crap out of them at those battles, but that they could coordinate all that in spite of all of our intelligence, Army, Navy intelligence, oxymoron. But my point is all of our intelligence, they whooped the crap out of us with that. My first impression is they're just folks like anybody else trying to survive. That's all. They were just trying to survive and get along and somehow make it through this mess alive with their families intact and their lives intact. I was shipped all over the southern part of Vietnam, so I saw all sorts of cultures, and from the bar girls in Saigon to the little huts in the villages in the middle of the Mekong Delta, and everything in between. Okay, and they just wanted to get along, and just wanted to survive, just like anybody else. They just wanted to survive. Anyhow, any way we could, we want to survive, and raise the children, and somehow save their lives. That's all. Just like anyone else, you want to protect your own, and that's what they wanted to do.
Right.
That's my impression of Vietnam people. Vietnamese people are sensational people. I have lots and lots of friends that are Vietnamese, and industrious, hardworking, great folks. And they, just got caught up in a miserable situation.
Right.
I'm totally honest with you. Right now, today, right here where I'm sitting, I like those people a hell of a lot more than I do Americans.
Okay, that says a lot about. Okay.
Because, I mean, they're upfront, honest, and they gave from the heart. The American people, no, it's all about what's in it for me.
When I first got back, I witnessed, it was probably one of the first waves to witness what everybody in the country felt at the time. Why are we in this war? And it was our fault that we were still there. They took it out on the the military for what was happening there. And that's in World War II when everybody came back. That was basically a sensible war. It was fought on the offensive, it was taken care of, and we moved on and conquered the war machine. But here, I was probably, being one of the first waves back, I just kind of went into a hole, and like these guys who didn't say anything for years, we harbored all these bad thoughts.
They tried to blow me up. They tried to shoot me. They tried to do lots of things. I survived all of that. What I didn't survive was coming home. And the way I was treated, and the way I was treated for 10 to 15 years after that war. And you don't know how pissed off I was, and how resentful I was, and how mad I was at America. Because we were orphans, baby. Every goddamn fucking TV show, every damn TV show in America had us as being these raging, crazy lunatics that goes out and kills babies and blows up buildings and don't know, it just crap, pure media junk. Okay? And we were all that way, and so forth and so on. And for the longest time, until they built the Vietnam Memorial, the wall, did I get a little bit of closure on how I felt about how I was treated and how my brothers were treated as Vietnam veterans.